had a vision of making my life a work of art, and I was looking for people who also felt that way.
There's something truly unexplainable about the Lana Del Rey effect. Both Lana the artist, the sometimes polarizing Lana Del Rey persona, and the world she's created with her music. And this masterpiece right here, Born to Die, is Lana's first record on a major label and the one that exposed her genius to the world. A record that would go on to influence many of the mainstream artists and pop icons that dominate the music industry today, including Billie Eilish, Dove Cameron, Addison Rae, and even Taylor Swift.
I've watched as one of my favorite artists of this decade, Lana Del Rey, was ruthlessly criticized in her early career, and then slowly but surely she turned into, in my opinion, the most influential artist in pop. Her vocal stylings, her lyrics, her aesthetics, they've been echoed and repurposed in every corner of music because she just keeps making art.
From her ethereal vocals to her hauntingly beautiful melodies and cinematic lyricism, it is immediately apparent from the very start of this album, Lana created what many would consider a genre of her very own. In a testament to its timelessness, Born to Die is still on the Billboard 200 charts today, over 13 years later. It's currently at number 96 in its 597th week. She's the only female artist to ever achieve this with her debut album. It wasn't just her music that grabbed you. Lana was visually captivating. From her trailer park glam to her shy demeanor, this unique balance combined with her unmistakable passion left millions wanting to be a part of the world she was building.
I brought it to everyone, and they were just not happy. It was another 5-minute and 35-second love song with no instrumentation. But I took it home and I made a video for it anyways.
Lana's breakthrough came in 2011 when she released a homemade music video on YouTube on October 16th, 2011 for her song Video Games that went viral. This was way before apps like TikTok, and Instagram was still in its infancy. It was a time when Pinterest was king. Lana's meteoric rise was in part due to Tumblr, where early fans built digital shrines showcasing Lana's bold visuals and vintage aesthetic. Tumblr was one of the first places early Lana fans would flock to discover the breadcrumbs leading to what would become her early lore. The microblogging website was what many refer to as a birthplace of subcultures and niches. Pictures of Lana and her lyrics flooded Tumblr, Facebook, and Instagram in the early days. If you've ever scrolled through the comment section of Video Games, you could see just how powerful the song is and the impact it's had on so many people. Here are just a few examples of how the song makes people feel. Lana herself fondly describes the inspiration for this song as a time when she was appreciating the moment with her then boyfriend, watching him play his video games while she got dolled up.
When I wrote the song for Video Games, it was like one of my happiest times. I knew in my video for Video Games I wanted to use a collection of different clips. Some of them were vintage clips from the 50s and 60s, things that I considered to be timeless. I was guided by my intuition. And I just picked things that I thought were beautiful.
Perhaps this song and video resonated with so many people because it ultimately focused on having a connection with someone you felt could last forever. Sometimes I can't listen to her without getting a little teared up. She pulls out a really emotional response in me.
Heaven is a place on earth with you.
What a fantastically beautiful lyric. One thing is clear, Video Games left fans eagerly wanting and waiting for more.
When I was young, I was really aware of my own mortality. When I realized that we were all going to die, that kind of overshadowed my existence. But then as I got older, I had fleeting moments of happiness when I started falling in love.
Finally, 2.5 months later, on December 30th, 2011, Lana released her second single, Born to Die. The album would end up sharing the same name. From the very start, it gives a sense of urgency and feels like a hero moment, where you're about to face the ultimate challenge or final boss before you ascend into a new reality. The echoey background vocals, melancholy vibes, and a hauntingly beautiful melody felt instantly nostalgic, paired with lyrics of loneliness and a boldness that felt both epic and vulnerable. The strings add such an emotional element here, and that paired with the dark chords and the crash of the snare almost feels like you're in an old film and her music is dictating the soundtrack of your life. At least that's how it felt to me. To me, this always kind of seemed like Lana was singing about heaven and the gates to heaven. And for me, this highlights Lana's obsession with death.
Sometimes love is not enough and the road gets tough. I don't know why.
something anyone who's ever been in a relationship can relate to. That feeling of knowing you love each other, but you can't see eye to eye on something important that ultimately leads to the end of an era, if you will. Gosh, I love that line. The lyrics in this song have so many layers, referencing Lana's own mortality, but also how some relationships are, in fact, born to die. And all the while reminding us death is inevitable, so you might as well live in the moment. Another thing I noticed right away with Born to Die is how many different ways that Lana is able to manipulate her voice. Sometimes she sings super sultry and low with an almost smoky texture, and other times she sings super high and playful, almost childlike. Even the way she ties words together and the way she slides up and down in her melodies and emphasizes certain words really stuck out to me as being a bit left of center when it comes to mainstream pop. And I was definitely here for it. For me, Born to Die is a no skips album, but it's also a no singles album. At least when it comes to traditional pop standards. Born to Die is one of my favorite Lana songs of all time, and in my opinion, the perfect choice for the opening track of this record. However, I think at the time it was a rather surprising choice for a single. Labels would typically go with a more upbeat track like maybe Diet Mountain Dew or National Anthem. It's important to note here that Lana seemed to be in a unique position that not many artists find themselves in. You've heard stories where an artist gets signed and then the big bad record companies try to change who you are, how you look, your sound. They take over control and maybe turn you into something you're not. Luckily, that isn't always the case, and it seems with Lana, her team very much trusted her vision, and she was able to maintain creative control throughout every step of the process.
When you work at something for a long time and then come into a family of people who support what you do, you're very lucky.
Whether it was backing Lana's choice or seeing the success of video games, they chose to give fans more of that slow, cinematic ballad they clearly loved. And it paid off. Born to Die debuted number 14 on the UK singles chart, later peaking at number 9, marking her second UK top 10 hit after Video Games. And it peaked at number 91 on the US Billboard Hot 100. Although Born to Die matched the sound and emotional themes of video games, the videos were strikingly different. For those who first came across Lana through video games, it was like you were peering into someone's diary or daydream. The homemade aspect of video games made it feel like you were discovering it early, almost like a secret. With Born to Die, however, we got to witness one of Lana's fully fleshed out ideas come to life with the support of her label and an actual budget and crew.
I wrote a treatment called The Lonely Queen, and I had just written, she's in heaven, flanked by 2 Siberian tigers, walking down a cathedral hallway like in a desolate castle in Romania, flashing back to happier times with her tattooed lover. Then Johan Lemoyne, who was my favorite French director, wrote back, and he was like, this is perfect, we can do this. And then he started adapting it.
As Lana mentioned, she wrote the original detailed summary of the project, while her love interest in the video was meant to resemble her ex, and the model who portrayed him would make several appearances during the Born to Die era.
I'm a little nervous for SNL. I've done live television in Europe, but never in America. No TV here yet. Just hope it goes well and you don't up.
To put in perspective how explosive of an impact video games had, after releasing her homemade video in October of 2011, by January 2012, Lana was booked to perform on SNL. The infamous SNL moment, you might say, embodies the notion of there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Blue jeans, white shirt.
Before she had all the confidence of a famous star, and just 13 days before the release of her debut album, Lana appeared live on SNL, where she was heavily criticized for her performance. She was mocked for everything from how she stood, to her pitch, to even her name, with some taking issue with the fact that she called herself Lana Del Rey, while her real name was, in fact, Elizabeth Grant. You know, it's understandable she got criticized for this because it's not like any artist has ever gone by a stage name before. Although she was widely criticized, word of mouth surrounding Lana Del Rey spread like wildfire, putting her on the radar of anyone who hadn't yet stumbled on her viral video games YouTube video. She was even parodied in later episodes of SNL. It's hard to imagine how she must have felt bombing her SNL performance just days before her debut album would release. But though she didn't know it yet, Born to Die would go on to become one of the most influential albums of all time.
I haven't done that many things in life that I love, but the record is gorgeous. There isn't one song that I felt like I compromised on lyrically or melodically.
I remember the first time I saw her album on the shelf at Target. I hadn't heard it yet, but visually it grabbed me right away. And it wasn't the vinyl I have now, but the CD version. Just something about it. This iconic album cover showing an unassuming photo of Lana still eluded a sense of both confidence and mystery that seemed to match the album title perfectly. Her stance almost positioned her as a godlike figure with a serious expression, as if she was staring right into your soul. At this point, all I knew of Lana was the backlash surrounding her SNL performance, which I also hadn't seen yet at the time. But as an artist myself, I definitely have the critics are not always right mentality. You kind of have to in order to make it in this industry. So I decided to purchase the album and give it a listen and decide for myself. You know those albums where you remember exactly where you were when you heard it for the first time? This was one of those albums for me. My then boyfriend and I were on a road trip to a family member's for Christmas, and we put on the album for the drive. From the first few seconds, I remember being captivated. I didn't know what I was expecting, but this sounded like nothing I had heard before. I felt like I was instantly transported into another decade with visions of old Hollywood that somehow sounded new at the same time. Her chillingly angelic vocals mixed with dark beats, melancholy strings, and provocative lyrics about being so desperately in love with the idea of a person that nothing else mattered were instantly relatable and something I felt to my core. Lana often refers to herself as a writer first, which is not surprising considering her lyrics are like honey for the soul, while her vision and imagery are also so clear while she describes her process and what inspired each song of this album. When asked about Born to Die, Lana told British newspaper The Sun, "I consider the record an homage to true love lost and a tribute to living life on the wild side. When I was young, I was overwhelmed by thoughts of my own mortality, but I also found fleeting moments of happiness in the arms of my lover and friends. This track and the record are about these two worlds, death and love, coming together." And in order for Lana to stay true to her vision for this record, she had to find the right collaborators.
It's amazing. I had this guy, Larry Gold, who's been in classical music for 30 years. He was conducting the Philadelphia Orchestra, like all throughout the record. I was explaining to him how I wanted him to help me soundscape the record. I wanted him to try and get the feeling of the American Beauty soundtrack mixed with early Bruce Springsteen in the summertime. And he did it. It's crazy. The strings on it are they're exactly what I thought.
Concept albums are always the ones that I personally gravitate towards. And if you're not familiar with what a concept album is, it's basically one that feels like a cohesive train of thought. It's a moment, it's similar themes, and it feels like it's all part of the same world. Many fans praise this record for Lana's ability to romanticize the idea of death, mortality, and the afterlife, while others have criticized the way she Hollywoodizes what it means to be in a toxic relationship and the emotional roller coaster that coincides with that. According to Lana, it's also very much about reminiscing what it's like to be young, wild, and free without caring about the consequences. It encompasses the feeling of living in the moment, chasing a fantasy just out of reach, with the idea of what could be being enough to start a fire in your soul. It's a whirlwind of knowing this person drives you crazy and this lifestyle might kill you, but you still crave it like a drug.
I'd speak to other writers, around the time who were working with Lana. They were always kind of complaining that she writes the same thing all the time. It's like, well, that's how you make a concept record, how you make a world. And a lot of young artists, they don't even think that way. And if there wasn't this sort of aura surrounding her and the visuals that she put up and the way she looked and what she was writing about, it wouldn't have the impact that it did. I feel like Lana kind of opened the door and she kind of changed the direction of what was going on at the time.
Since I was really young, I've sort of walked my own path, even in terms of my tastes, like sonically and visually. I have artists who have influenced me a lot, but I don't think you would naturally find them as comparisons to me.
At the time, other songs topping the chart were hits like We Found Love, Rihanna featuring Calvin Harris, Good Feeling, Flo Rida, Sexy and I Know It, LMFAO, The One That Got Away, Katy Perry, Super Bass, Nicki Minaj, with some alternatives like Foster the People's Pumped Up Kicks and Gautier featuring Kimbra, Somebody I Used to Know. Lana's music was in many ways the opposite of what was popular at the time of Born to Die's release. It was subtle, it was mysterious, it was cinematic. It was both a slow burn and a gut-wrenching spark that would ignite a chain reaction of artists influenced by the sad girl, dark pop aesthetic. As Swiftologist explains, in contrast to the main pop girlies at the time, Lana's music wasn't offering any salvation. One thing is certain, Lana has always been unapologetically true to herself, her craft, and her artistry. She is what many consider a once-in-a-lifetime artist. Many have praised Billie Eilish with the same sentiment, and although their artistic identities and sounds are completely different, Billie has openly shared how much Lana has inspired her. And she's not the only major artist inspired by this album, but I'll touch more on that later. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, please give it a like, share with a fellow Lana stan, and subscribe if you'd like more deep dives.
I'm definitely interested in having a cinematic soundscape within a record. And then when I met Emile Haney and Justin Parker, I really felt like I met my musical soulmates. Emile's beats plus Larry Gold's string composition really started to make a cohesive, gorgeous sound for the entire record.
Is it by mistake or design? The Born to Die record has a cohesive and looming sense of impending doom, with key themes of love, death, desperation, and longing, with sprinkles of hope and moments of you only live once that electrify the rush of feeling young, free, and truly alive. I think one of the most ironic things to note about this record is that nothing about it was commercial or crafted for mainstream popularity. In fact, Lana said once she started focusing less on making music she thought people wanted to hear, and she started writing what she actually liked for her, that's when everything started to fall into place. As another creator, Zoe Unlimited, put it, and I'm paraphrasing, mainstream doesn't start as mainstream. It starts with a niche. When an artist is so original, so unique, and they lean into what makes them so unapologetically themselves, that's when they break through and reach the masses. As I briefly mentioned earlier, working with key collaborators like beatmaker and producer Emile Haney, co-writer Justin Parker, and orchestral arranger Larry Gold, Born to Die blended elements from hip-hop to cinematic strings. And together, they were able to crack the code, so to speak, breaking Lana into the mainstream where she resonated with the masses on a global scale through her unique ability to connect with fans on a very intimate level. When you open the gates of Born to Die, Lana eludes a sense of mystery with her sultry vocals and bright flower crowns mixed with dark undertones alongside her signature pouty lips, beauty queen hair, and sad girl eyes. She was able to mesh together two completely different worlds from trailer park to ultra glamorous Hollywood lifestyle that somehow coexist in this world she created so seamlessly. Generally speaking, the GOATs don't chase trends. They create them by drawing from real experience, real trauma, and real inspiration, creating art from a place of pain and passion. They're as visual as they are articulate, performative as they are expressive. They're too raw for the mainstream until they become it. Lana herself said she developed her sound and found her voice by combining her favorite elements by the greats spanning several different decades.
I fucking love Eminem. He really changed my life because I didn't know that music could be intelligent. He was talking about his own life. He wasn't just rhyming over music just for rhyme's sake. He was really talking about the way that things were. And also, he happens to be a genius. I love Frank Sinatra just because when I heard his voice for the first time, I couldn't believe it was real. It was just the golden tone on his voice. So Eminem was the master of lyrics, but Frank Sinatra was the master of vocals. So I really just like the masters from every different genre.
Interestingly enough, by studying the greats, Lana herself became one. By the way, a little bit of Lana lore. In 2014, Eminem rapped the lyrics, I don't even want to say this.
I punched Lana Del Rey right in the face twice like Ray Rice in broad daylight.
Eminem has said he uses celebrity names because they fit the rhyme scheme, not as a personal attack. But I would love to know in the comments, what do you think about this? I'll be forever impressed by Lana's ability to transport me to another time and place while listening to her songs. Her words paint such a vivid picture, it's almost like watching a film come to life before your eyes. I've always said a great song should take you on a journey. It should have a beginning, a middle, a climax, an undeniable end, and leave you satisfied enough while still craving more. And I truly think Lana delivers on that with every song on this album. As I mentioned earlier, I always find myself gravitating towards concept albums where every song has its own identity, yet they all have something cohesive about them that makes it clear that they came from the same artist. Another great example of this is Billie Eilish and Phineas. As I said, Billie has been very vocal sharing her admiration for Lana, and I feel like Billie and Phineas have a similar process or approach when it comes to their albums. It might come as no surprise that this album also influenced artists like Lorde and Halsey, known for similar dark, moody, and mysterious themes. In an interview with Billboard, Lizzo described what the most exciting artists of today's era have been doing, becoming a genre of their very own. And that's exactly what Lana did, with many referring to her as groundbreaking and ahead of her time. Something I immediately noticed when watching old video clips of Lana discussing the process of making this record was how she really took her time to answer each question thoroughly and thoughtfully without feeling the need to rush through the answers or spit something out quickly. Instead, she would respond in a very soft manner and say exactly what she wanted to say in the way she wanted to say it. And I personally find myself hanging on to every word when I hear her speak. Her passion is contagious.
I felt like it was sort of a selfish, unrealistic choice to make being a singer, and I also didn't know anyone. This record came about, ironically, at a time when I had really let go of my sort of personal ambitions of being recognized as a good writer and a good singer, because it had been so long, really, since I started. I never really made the serious, conscious decision like, this will be my life, because I was afraid to get too attached to that vision, because I thought if it didn't end up happening, it would probably break my heart.
Born to Die, the album, debuted at number 2 on the US Billboard 200, selling 77,000 copies in its first week. And a little fun fact, it was blocked from the number 1 spot by Adele's compelling album, 21. In fact, listening to interviews from this time, I was surprised how often people tried to compare Lana to Adele. Some things never change. Born to Die was the fastest selling album of 2012 in the UK, with over 117,000 copies sold in its first week. Reviews for Born to Die were mixed, with some praising its cinematic scope and aesthetic, while other critics called it overproduced or lacking substance. Many media outlets like Pitchfork giving the album a scathing 5.5 out of 10, criticizing Lana's lyrics and claiming it lacked emotional depth. Ironically, 2 things this album is known and praised for, with the reviewer even calling the album out of touch, which is hilarious considering the only thing out of touch is her take on this record. Anthony Fantano, internet's busiest music nerd, seemingly praises Lana, saying the album is like an ocean of instrumentation washing over my ears, luring me into this kind of sonic seduction. However, he quickly pivots, noting her goofy vocalizations, marking it a strong 3. While stating the songs add up to something that, quote,
just does not have a lot of lasting power.
Proving once again, the critics are not always right. One thing is certain, it became a cult-like, fan-driven phenomenon, outperforming its reviews and any negative press. It's widely viewed as a genre-defying record that shaped the modern sad girl all-pop era. It became a modern classic, while its cultural relevance has only grown, not only in influence, but in numbers, as it ended up outlasting albums that initially outsold it. Born to Die has sold over 7 million pure copies globally, like vinyl, physical CDs, and digital downloads, and over 14 million equivalent album units with over 9 billion streams on Spotify. It went RIAA 5 times certified platinum in the US, and it's also the longest charting major label debut album by a female artist in Billboard 200 history.
The Grammy goes to Summertime Sadness.
Another defining moment in Lana's career came when French DJ and record producer Cedric Gervais released a remix of Summertime Sadness on July 11th, 2013, propelling Lana to a new level of mainstream radio success.
Wow, I never thought doing this remix I'm going to be standing here today. I want to thank Lana Del Rey for letting me touch such a masterpiece. The fans, thank you very much. I'm just a kid from Marseille with a dream. I'm not even supposed to be here, so thank you.
It even won a Grammy for Best Remixed Recording, Non-Classical at the 56th Grammys in 2014. It peaked at number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100, marking Lana's first and only US top 10 hit as a lead artist. The remix also dominated mainstream radio airplay and exposed Lana to a broader pop audience. and went 8 times certified platinum with over 700 million streams on Spotify and 400 million views on YouTube. This unique collaboration helped scale Lana's brand from indie darling to festival headliner. It was a staple during the 2010s club pop crossover culture and became one of the first dance remixes to break a pop alt song into mainstream radio. I remember hearing that remix everywhere.
I feel like video games and Blue Jeans and Born to Die are all like sort of part of a trilogy. I had met this guy and I was really struck by him visually. And when it became clear that we couldn't be together anymore, I just knew in my heart that I would still like honor that relationship for a long time. You know, it was just more about living in the memories of the best of the past. And that's sort of what Born to Die is about as well.
During the Born to Die era, Lana brought a cinematic, melancholy, and vintage aesthetic to the pop landscape, which deeply contrasted the EDM pop hybrids dominating the radio at the time. While she was heavily criticized by many media outlets, deeming her, quote, inauthentic, it was in fact her emotional honesty and anti-pop star persona that connected so deeply with fans all over the world. Sites like Tumblr exploded with the sad girl subculture, with Lana at the center, her lyrics becoming integrated into the culture and sound of 2012. Artists to follow included Billie, Halsey, Lorde, and many more who would go on to embody a moody, brooding, and confessional alt-pop vibe that Lana helped normalize. Her lyrics and music from this era continue to appear on TikTok today, proving Born to Die has long surpassed its hype of being one of the most groundbreaking and influential albums of the 2010s. Like one of my favorite creators, Nikki Reardon, says, "Art shapes culture, culture shapes people, people shape the world." Lana has described this record as living in the memories of the best of the past. And this is exactly how I feel when I listen to Born to Die. I put it on and it's like I'm transported into another time. I think it's a true testament to one of the first examples of what we now refer to so commonly as world building, like we see incredible artists like Chappell Roan, Doechii, and Charlie XCX doing, creating an entire world that unfolds by listening to a record, seeing them live, falling deeper and deeper into the different levels of emotion that their art encompasses. To summarize, this is a 10 out of 10 record for me. I absolutely love it inside and out, and it is so incredibly powerful. Much like the first time I ever heard Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, or The Smiths, it's forever changed the way I approach songwriting and music production. But it also influenced an entire generation as well as future generations. To this day, Born to Die sounds like nothing else and somehow hasn't aged. It's become one of my ride or die albums, and I believe the impact of this record is what solidified her as one of the greatest of all time. It's one of the few albums in my collection that I listened to on repeat when it first came out, and when I put it on today, it still hits just like the first time. To me, it's a record that is meant to be listened to from start to finish and is a no-skips album, and one I can still hear in chronological order. Like if I'm listening to Diet Mountain Dew, as it ends, I can hear a national anthem starting before it even comes on. Lana is one of the purest examples of how no one can do you better than you. Like every artist, she has her influences, but she also knew exactly who she was, and she just leaned into what inspired her and what made her feel alive. She romanticizes the feeling of being confidently vulnerable while smitten in undying devotion when it comes to her obsession with love and loss, life and death. If asked the question, is it better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all? I think Lana's response will always be the former. She is unapologetic, unashamed, unabashed, and lives with no regrets. She's someone who stands by what she's done, and she'd do it again. Even now, more than a decade later, Born to Die continues to influence a new generation of fans, artists, and continues to shape both music and culture. This is a series I've been wanting to do for a long time, where I revisit some of the albums that had not only such a significant impact on my own life and myself as an artist, but changed music forever. Those that had a significant impact on both pop culture and the music industry as a whole, and completely shifted the way we view genres, artistry, and world building. Born to Die is an album that continues to have a lasting impact even over a decade after its release. By the way, I'm Desh. I'm an indie music artist, and my world is called Cry Pop. As someone whose entire life revolves around music and storytelling and how those two worlds collide, my goal for this series was to shine a light on albums that we can only describe as life-changing. But now I want to know what you guys think. Where did you first discover Lana? Was it video games? Was it one of her later albums? Was it her music or her visuals? Did you fall in love instantly, or was it a slow burn for you? And which album, if not Born to Die, is your favorite? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Lanaverse of Born to Die, don't forget to like, subscribe for more deep dives, share with a fellow Lana stan, and please let me know in the comments which albums, artists, or bands you'd like me to do a deep dive on next. Thanks so much for watching, and if you'd like to check out my music, you can click one of the videos popping up on screen right now, one of the links in the description, or you can find me at Dash Please on all platforms. Bye guys!
And I like it when